All right, good evening, everyone. It's 5:33 p.m. and I will call this meeting to order. This is our Wednesday, September 10th, 2025 regular council meeting. Before we begin the meeting, I will state the township land acknowledgement. The township of Adjala-Tosorontio is situated on the lands within Treaty 18, being the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe peoples, including the Ojibwe, the Odawa, and the Potawatomi nations, collectively known as the Three Fires Confederacy. This land is home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. We acknowledge Indigenous peoples as stewards of the land, and we honor their resilience as well as their culture and of our shared respect for the lands, plants, animals, and waterways, which sustains us all. We recognize the injustices against Indigenous peoples and are mindful that the decisions of government impact our shared land and all the inhabitants. We commit to reconciliation as a journey, foster Indigenous cultural awareness and educational opportunities, establish respectful and healthy relations with Indigenous peoples, continue to steward the land and its inhabitants, and to cultivate an inclusive community for all. So the next item on the agenda is closed session. We do have one item to go into closed session for this evening. So there is a recommendation that pursuant to section 2392 of the Municipal Act 2001, Council of the Township of Adjala-Tosorontio convene in closed session at 5:34 p.m. to address the following item. Verbal update, advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose, in litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality. Ontario Land Tribunal case number OLT 25-000-485, 78265 Side Road. Do you have a mover to go on camera? Councillor Simpson, seconder, please. Councillor Cox. Any questions on that recommendation? All those in favor? That is carried. And we are now in closed session. Sorry, all right. So we're going to come out of in camera here. So we're going to reconvene an open session at 6:30 p.m. So the recommendation is that the Council of the Township of Adjala-Tosorontio reconvene an open session at 6:30 p.m. Mover, please. Councillor Simpson, seconded by Deputy Mayor Laux. All those in favor? And that is carried. And just to report on the closed session item is that legal counsel and staff proceed as directed in closed session. Madam Clerk, do you want a motion for that, or are you okay with verbal? Okay. A mover for that recommendation, please. I have Deputy Mayor Laux. Seconded by Councillor O'Leary. All those in favor? And that is carried. All right, gentlemen, as long as I don't lose quorum, a couple of you are good to go for some drinks or take your time in a moment.
I'm going to run.
All right, Council, we're going to continue with the meeting. So we are now back in open session. So we are at agenda item 4, which is additions. And before I get to there, I'll just welcome everyone to our council meeting. Thank you for joining us. So item 4, Council, are there any additions to the agenda? And seeing none. Can I get a mover for the adoption of the agenda, please? I have Councillor Cox, a seconder, please. Councillor O'Leary. That the agenda for the regular council meeting held on Wednesday, September 10th, 2025 be adopted as presented. All those in favor? And that is carried. Item 6 is disclosure of pecuniary interests. Are there any items to disclose this evening? If you do find yourself in that situation at a later time, please declare then. Item 7 is adoption of minutes. A mover for the adoption of the minutes, please. Councillor Cox, seconder, please. Councillor Borzos. Recommendation is that the minutes of the regular council meeting held on Wednesday, August 13th, 2025 be adopted as presented. Any questions on the minutes? All those in favor? That is carried. We're now on item 8, presentations. First presentation this evening is 8.1, presentation from Trish Woods, our communications officer, regarding the new municipal website. So Trish, welcome to the meeting, and we look forward to seeing what the new website's going to look like.
Thanks, I'm excited for you guys to see it too. So good evening, your worship, members of council, staff, and members of public. Since January 2025, I've been leading capital project C 2025-04, which is the redevelopment of the township's website. This was a high priority as our current platform, which is iCreate, will be obsolete in June 2026, and this was identified in the 2024-2028 strategic plan. In February of 2025, this year, we retained Gooder Marketing to be our web host and developer. And after months of hard work, we're finally at the launch stage, and I think I can speak for all staff here that we are excited to provide easier access to information for residents. So with that said, I'm going to share my screen. Dun, 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 dun. So this is the main page of our website. So as you can see, we've leaned into our corporate color green, which is setting ourselves apart from other local municipalities. We chose green as a reflection of the township's beautiful natural surroundings here in Adjala-Tosorontio. So at the top, we have our four main headers, which is community, recreation and culture, business development, municipal government, all with a green button taking you right to the news and notices page. So as we scroll down, you will see two buttons, a help me find button and an I want to button. So these buttons were based on analytics from the old website. So what were residents looking for and what were frequently visited pages. This ensures that our users can locate the information that they are looking for quickly and easier as the township needs change, these buttons can also change. So we're going to scroll past our nicely displayed news and notices with the most recent being on the left-hand side. Past more information about Adjala-Tosorontio, we have some 4 buttons here that can take them to other pages of the website as well. And then this is the most exciting part of the website for me personally. So this is a community calendar that will serve as a central hub for local groups and organizations to share their events. So all submissions will be reviewed through communications to ensure that they align with the township policies. And then you can scroll to all events, and then it will take you to our calendars page, which will load, and you can see all of the events that are happening here, and you can click on them, and up will come that information. I'm going to go back to the home page just so I can show you. The days of scrolling are now over. Everything is on one page, but you click this handy green button here, and it takes you right up to the top. So that's easily accessible for our users, because frequently when you open a new page, you click on something, it opens a new page, it opens a new page. So now with just a single click, no one's going to lose their spot as to where they were on their website. We're going to go over to community section, and I'm going to click on applications, permits, and licenses. This is a frequently visited page. So at the top, all of our headings are clickable, otherwise known as anchor points, and they will take you directly down to the forms that you are requesting. This feature is built into all of our pages, ensuring residents can easily find what they're looking for. So again, the days of scrolling are now over. I click on marriage license, and it takes me right to the marriage license. I can go back up to the top. I'm going to click finance. It'll take you right down to the finance forms. So all of it is on one page, but these anchor points at the top ensure that people can find the information that they're looking for very quickly. I'm going to move over to the recreation and culture page. So we have launched a new web page called Local and Indigenous History. So with working with the Simcoe County Museum and Museum on the Boyne, we've included some of our own history and links to their pages. And at the top, we do have our own land acknowledgement on there as well. So should users want to learn more about our local history and Indigenous history of Adjala-Tosorontio, they can visit these 2 pages. Scrolling up to business and development. So we've made it simple and easy for all the information residents are looking for, including some frequently asked questions. Oops, I'm just going to go back here. We go to our building and renovating, click on building permits, and we have building permit frequently asked questions, and inspections and septic is all on this page. Heading over to municipal government, the same headers that if you double click on municipal government, and this is across all pages, this is our main page for our government, but it's the same drop-down menu. So if residents accidentally click that twice, not a problem. The same information is located here with these buttons. And then from here, I'm going to take you to the Matters Ahead and Council Recap page. And on here, you can view a summary of all of the regular and special council meetings with links to the agendas on our portal. So you can see we have our Matters Ahead right here for today's meeting. The in-depth agenda is posted, as well as all the other reports. This is just a simplified version for residents to be able to see without reading the full agenda. I will show you your page. So this is the mayor and council page. So this has been cleaned up very nicely with a new option here to email all of council. We've also included the ward map on our website, something that didn't exist before. I am proud to say that this website is AODA compliant. But in addition, we have included at launch time, I will bring up the county, if I can spell correctly, there we go. I'm going to bring up the County SMGo page because we have also included this button here. So this button, I am echoing on my computer for some reason. So this button here is a new tool that will also be on our website at launch time. So what this does is this allows all of the users to make the website accessible for themselves based on their own needs. So if I have text reader on, I don't know if you can hear it, but we're going to try. If it will load. It's not working right now. Of course it's not. I don't know if you can hear that. So what that does is that makes everything accessible to them if they are unable to read for whatever reason, or they want to change the brightness and the contrast. They're able to go in here and they're able to change the brightness and the contrast. This just makes it easier for them to modify based on their needs. The possibilities of this website to remain AODA compliant are endless, and this is something we're extremely proud to offer our residents. So this website will be launched on September 15th to residents. Same great domain, better and accessible information.
Okay, thank you. And I thank all staff for their contributions to this, and to Trish for your hard work in putting this together. I will open the floor to some questions if there are. I do have one question. We certainly get a lot of people looking to reach out to the township office, and I appreciate the fact that you have a all council email for mayor and council. What's the contact information like for staff, and what's the is there availability for, again, as an email form to staff, individual staff members, and of course a lot of people still use the phone, so making sure that we do have access to all the contact information for the municipality in one spot. So just maybe if you could highlight that for us.
Sure. So this is our contact page. So it has our address, has our number, has even our toll-free number. I'm not sure if many people realize that we had a toll-free number, but we do. So first up at the top is mayor and council. So again, this just recaps the mayor and council page. If they're going to just contact us and they're looking to contact you, they might not think to go there first. Mm-hmm. And then we list by, we have CAO here, and then we have building. So what we've done things a little bit differently. To help delegate calls, what we've done is we've only listed planning department and the phone number and the extension and the email. So there will be a pop-up form, and you can email your name, phone number, subject, and your message, and it'll go right to that email address. So it would go to admin first. This just helps the delegation of calls, and if it's just a quick question, they might be able to answer it. So we've just listed that. Same thing with clerks. So clerks department, you would email clerks department. I may be a little bit of an exception here. You can email me directly as well as contact me. Our fax number's on there as well. You can contact finance department, and then they can then answer those specific questions rather than maybe some of our directors and managers getting those direct calls. It might alleviate some time on their end.
Okay, thank you. Council, any questions? I have Councillor Simpson first.
Thank you, through the chair. Ms. Woods, with regard to the report of concern, is that still operating as it was before? Or?
That is still operating as it is. So okay. If you go to our main page, it's throughout the website, but we did put it front and center right beside contact us on the main page. And if you click that, it'll bring you up to the form.
Perfect, thank you.
Councillor Cox.
The chair to Ms. Woods, is this a hard launch or a soft launch? Like, will there still be availability, like us to put our input into maybe adjustments or communities that may bring concerns and we need to adjust as needed?
So we do have a hard launch on the 15th. However, at the bottom at the footer, there is a website feedback button. So, and it's also on the report of concern. So if you go to report of concern and you're finding that there is something wrong with the website, then there is a drop-down menu. You can select website feedback and you can present it that way.
Thank you. Councillor Meadows?
Thank you, Trish. With regards to this, is it going to retain all the old history from the past website as well? Like
So-
all the old tapes and that from the old meetings?
Yes, so through you to Councillor Meadows, yes. We have migrated all our pages. Some of the older stuff we haven't brought back because it might not have been relevant at the time. Like if you're going to bring a road closure notice that happened in 2001, you might not need that. But we migrated those pages over into the new website.
Like all the meetings from 2016, 2018?
All of those are on our portal. So the portal wasn't affected through this website. All of that's still linked over to the meetings and agendas.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Madam Clerk, did you want to comment about it, or did Trish just answer the question? All right, thank you. Any other questions from council? Councillor Borzos.
Yes, through the chair to Ms. Woods. It's wonderful. I really like it. It's very sort of comforting to see. Question is there, in terms of search function, have we been able to enhance the search function of the website? Because in the past, you typed in, even if it was a specific bylaw, it gave you 655 answers.
Yeah, so through your worship to Councillor Borzos, yes. So there is a function on there that now we're actually able to add in our own keywords and our own tags. So as we develop new pages and new news and notices, things like that, we can actually put those tags and those keywords in there. The website developers have inserted those keywords in there too. So there is a search function at the top here, and you can just type in what you're looking for and it should come up. The only thing, some old items might come up, some duplicates because of the migration, but we're trying to work through those little hiccups now.
That's wonderful. Thank you.
Deputy Mayor Laux.
Thank you to the chair. I'd just like to congratulate you. It looks great, and I think you deserve a round of applause and the staff that made this happen.
Councillor Cox.
I was just going to wish kudos as well. Great job.
Thank
Great
you.
job.
All right, thank you. Councillor O'Leary, do you want to offer any comments?
Through the chair, I think everybody's touched on everything, and I also would congratulate you on a job well done. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So council, there is a recommendation that the presentation from Trish Woods, Communications Officer regarding new municipal website be received. Do I have a mover for that motion? Councillor Meadows, seconder please. Councillor Borzos, and all those in favor. And that is carried. All right, so up next is 8.2, which is presentation from Sue Bragg, Baker Tilly SGB LLP, regarding our 2024 consolidated financial report and audit. Sue, good to see you again. I understand you had a very productive audit committee meeting as well with this, and we enjoy seeing you here, and we enjoy actually reviewing our books. So I'll give the floor to you for the presentation, and I think we look like we're in good shape. So.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I'm quite impressed at how many people from the public were interested to come and hear about the audited financial statements tonight. I don't usually get that big of an audience, so it's wonderful. So I think that we have you have the PowerPoint.
We'll get up that for you.
Yeah, yep, there it is. So I don't know whether you're just following on screen or in your agenda packages, but if you are in your agenda packages, it's pages 16 to 34 that we're going to look at for a few minutes. So in terms of the audit results on the next page, as in the past, tonight I am presenting the draft financial statements for council's approval. They will not be finalized and the draft watermark will not be removed until a quorum of council approves them. So that's, hopefully will be today. It is an unqualified audit opinion as it has been in the past. We have a clean management letter that we will be issuing. The only little wrinkle that we found this year is that we did have to restate the 2023 figures. It was determined that the Building Stabilization Fund should be shown as an obligatory reserve fund as opposed to a regular reserve fund. And so that has been changed on the statements, and note 21 details that for you as well, but I wanted to mention it at the outset. On the next page, I've just listed the next page actually. Yeah. The audit procedure. So I'm sure, as you're all aware, an audit does not involve us looking at every dollar and every transaction. We look at large items, we look at unusual items, we look at at transactions right before year end and right after to make sure cutoff is right. We look at variances to budget and last year, lots of different things. But in the time that we're here, we can't look at every single transaction, but we certainly look at all the ones that we feel give us the ability to render a clean audit opinion. So this process actually started back in October of 2024 and into November when we did the interim audit. That's more of a review of processes and controls. And then we returned in March to do our substantive procedures, which involved, testing of year-end journal entries, looking at material financial statement of financial position items, assets and liabilities, revenue and expense transactions, made sure that all of the reserve transfers that had occurred were either approved by council or anticipated in the budget, and certainly looked at all significant estimates and accounting policies to make sure that we were complete and accurate in terms of disclosure. On the next page, this is just a little snapshot of the statement of operations. So revenues were, actual revenues for 2024 were about 18.2 million compared to 17.6 million last year. Expenses were about 15 million compared to about 13.7 million. But overall, the annual surplus was actually pretty similar to last year. It was 3.2 million versus 3.9 million. And the budget had anticipated that figure to be quite a bit lower at 1.7 million. On the next page, we'll talk about some of those variances. So net municipal taxation, obviously your biggest revenue source, it increased by about $1 million, and that was not entirely related to tax rates at all. It was largely because of property values increasing. User fees and service charges, another big item. It increased about $500,000 over last year and budget. And that was due to higher water user fees and planning fees. Revenue includes about $1.4 million that was recognized from obligatory reserve funds. So when amounts come in and go into obligatory reserve funds, they don't actually hit your statement of operations until they're used. So that was about 1.4 million, and last year that figure was only about 475,000, and that was mainly due to capital grants that had been received into the oblegs and spent this year in 2024. The other big variance in revenues is that last year contributed tangible capital assets included about $1.8 million, and this year it was pretty minor at only 60,000. So under expenses, the big message there is that all of the actual figures for 2024 and 2023 expenses include amortization expense. That was $2 million this year compared to $1.9 million last year. And so that, certainly varies. There are very few municipalities that actually budget for amortization. It is an accounting estimate. It is a required entry that we make, but it isn't, there's not a direct translation to tax rates in the tax budget. So salaries and wages were the only other line that I wanted to mention. Salaries, wages, and employee benefits increased about 630,000 year over year. The next three slides actually are just, it's nice to get away from the words and look at some pictures for a minute. So this is a pie chart that just shows the breakdown of your revenues. And again, as I mentioned earlier, the lion's share of it is property taxation. On the next page, the expenses are provided by department. And so you can see that transportation is the largest, followed by protection services and general government. And those pieces of the pie remain pretty consistent year over year. Those same expenses on the third pie chart are shown by type. So Again, salaries and benefits in the, 29 to 30% range, supplies of services about 38% range. Again, all very similar. And interesting to note that amortization expense, while it is an accounting entry, it makes up about 14% of your total expenses that you see on the statement of operations. On the next page, we're going to start talking about the statement of financial position. And of course, that many of us that are accountants think of that as the balance sheet, but that's not acceptable verbiage for a municipal presentation. So here's a snapshot of your financial assets. You can see there cash, investments, receivables, taxes receivable. And one of the ratios that we look at is the cash ratio. So cash as a percentage of your current liabilities. Certainly, Adjala-Tos is in a good spot at 7.6%. The provincial average is about 5.4%, and anything higher than 0.5% is considered low risk. One thing I want to mention about the ratios, because we're going to look at a couple over the next few minutes, is that they are based on figures at a point in time. So, your cash at the end of 2024 was 15.6 million. Today, it could be 30 million or zero. And so this ratio could look very different. The other thing to note is that the provincial figures that we've provided are based on the 2023 report, because of course, at this point in time, the ministry doesn't have everybody's FIRs and financial statements to provide the 2024. And the provincial figure I'm giving you is the average that the province provides. And we all know not all municipalities are created equal. So just a couple words of caution when you're comparing yourselves to the ratios. The next page is taxes receivable. And, I'm sorry to report that I'm seeing across all of our municipal clients a trend for taxes receivable being higher. And not by a few $1,000s, by a lot of money. And so you can see the progression in the percentage of taxes receivable compared to total taxes levied. Last year was 8.8%. This year is 11.4%. The province considers anything between 10 and 12.5% low to moderate risk. So we're in that gap. But surrounding municipalities are about 9.6% average. So we're a little bit higher. The provincial average is about 8.1%. So again, we're a little bit higher. But just to note, like that provincial average, which is now 8.1, last year was 5.5. And the surrounding municipalities, that's at 9.6. Last year it was 7.7. Like everybody is jumping up. And, I'm not an economist, but I feel like, some of the uncertainty that is around in the world right now is definitely feeding into this. And, people are making the tough decision, I'm sure, to pay other things before they necessarily pay their property taxes. So anyway, so just something to keep in mind and something to watch for going forward, certainly.
So Ms. Bragg, not to interject because I'm hoping to do questions at the end, but I just wanted to really, I guess, kind of draw home on this one because, as you mentioned, this is not a small figure. It was a $770,000 increase in individuals not paying property taxes from 2023 to 2024. So we now have $2.6 million outstanding taxes in the municipality. Now I can understand, I've been looking at back here, COVID, I could see the spike up there again. So, there were some cost pressures at that time, and we certainly know what the economy is like today. So I can understand that we see this gradual increase of individuals not paying their property taxes. I just wanted to kind of pick your brain on this one, though, because even though we're in the low to moderate risk, it doesn't appear, though, we have a cash flow issue in this municipality. So I'm wondering if you could comment on comparisons with other municipalities, like, even if their threshold from the province is a 15%, sometimes that doesn't really warrant concern because your cash flow in the municipality is still fairly adequate to handle business. So I just wanted to see if you could comment on that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, certainly luckily, none of our municipal clients are in a cash flow crunch because of these additional taxes receivable. I guess one thing that would be interesting to note is, what is that balance today? Because again, that's the figure that was at December 31st, 2024. And, there could have been significant improvements in collection since then. Certainly in my casual conversations with treasurers, I'm not hearing that, but that would certainly be something to look into. And I guess in the whole scheme of things, having 11.4% of your total municipal revenue still outstanding, maybe isn't the end of the world. You do get the benefit of the penalties and interest that you can charge on that, but that's just more money out of the taxpayer's pocket. So it's not really, something you'd want to encourage, I don't think. I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, and I think you've hinted at it too, that you've been seeing this across the board too, but like, we're talking, like I said, almost $1 million difference in one year to another. Have you seen that common practice in municipalities?
Yeah, in the bigger municipalities, it's like a couple $1 million. It's quite staggering. But again, it's in perspective of, they have a lot more millions or zeros behind their numbers too. So, I don't think it's we're not raising huge alarm bells about it at this time, but it's definitely something to watch for. And nobody likes to do tax sales on a property, but if the economy continues the way it is, and that you may see a rise in that, which is not nice.
Thank
you. Next page. Statement of financial position. So again, this is similar to what I provided for the financial assets. These are the liabilities. Important to note, though, that these figures, like the long-term liabilities, these are related to tangible capital assets. And I'm going to come back to this because financial assets do not include your bricks and mortar, and these liability figures do. So just something to keep in mind as we go along. And then the largest figure there, 10.7 million for obligatory reserve funds. Those are things like development charges and things that by law we have to keep as a liability until they're spent. And we're going to look at those a little bit more on this next page here. So of that 10.7 million on the next page, the about half, just over half of that is development charges. So 5.8 million compared to 5.4 million last year. There are also, smaller funds for recreational land, the Canada Community Building Fund, which as long as I live, I'll still think of as gas tax, but some grant money there. And then, of course, the building stabilization I wanted to highlight there that's been brought out from reserve funds to the obligs. On the next page, we're going to look at net financial assets. And again, so that total financial asset figure of 21 million does not include tangible capital assets. But the 19.8 million that gives you your net financial assets, that does include the debt related to tangible capital assets. So when you look at this chart, you say, like, why does she have these negatives on here? The province considers anything less than negative 50% to be low risk. And that's because they're anticipating it could be negative because the debt is included in that liability figure, but the tangible capital assets, of course, come in down below that on the statement of financial position. So, thankfully, we're not in a negative position. And in fact, the provincial average is a positive of 38%, and we're right around 8%. Just that one's always one that's confusing because the risks are in the negatives, but that is quite intentional, not an error. The next page is tangible capital assets. And so this is where I mentioned that, you take your net financial assets and you add tangible capital assets to get your total accumulated surplus that you would have seen on the statement of financial position. And so you can see, 57.2 million at the end of 2024 compared to 54.9 million at the end of 2023. And, this figure doesn't represent replacement value. It doesn't reflect fair market value. It's the original cost of the assets amortized over their estimated useful life. So, you know, it wouldn't be fair to say that you could replace all of the tangible capital assets of the municipality with $57 million. It would be far higher than that. Because this figure includes, you know, not just the land and buildings that we think of, but all the equipment, all of the roads, the water and wastewater infrastructure, the bridge that the municipalities put a ton of money into in recent years, vehicles, you know, all of those things. So one of the ratios that the province publishes is the asset consumption ratio. So how much of the asset has been taken up by amortization? So as an estimate of how much useful life is left. So the provincial average is 47.8%. They consider anything under 50% to be low risk, and we're sitting down in the 39% range. So that's great. If we look at the very next page, we can see which types of assets are really helping bring down that average. And the bridges, the very far right column there, you know, of every dollar spent on bridges, only 27 cents has been amortized to date. So you've got lots of room there. The equipment is fairly new. The roads are fairly new, according to this calculator. You know, the one that kind of fares worst, perhaps, is the buildings. So for every dollar that's there in buildings, 56 cents has already been amortized. That might be an indication that there are some buildings that are soon going to be at the end of their life or that need major work. And of course, land none of it gets amortized. So it shows as a completely green column to the far left there. The next page is the accumulated surplus. And for those of you that remember my presentation in the past, this is the one note I get really excited about, because there's been lots of misconceptions about what is accumulated surplus. So this is always a note that I try and bring to everyone's attention. So at the end of 2024, the accumulated surplus of the municipality was just under $59 million. But almost $52 million of that was invested in tangible capital assets. So that $58 million doesn't mean cash, it doesn't mean reserves. It's made up of the municipality's investment in tangible capital assets. There is a general area taxation surplus. And then there's about $5.2 million in reserves and discretionary reserve funds, up considerably from last year's $3.5 million. And so one of the ratios that the province publishes is reserves as a percentage of operating expenses. They consider anything low risk in the 20% range. The provincial average is actually up around 85% somehow. And you know, we track quite well in 2024, being about 35%. I'm not going to spend too much time on this page, but just as a reminder, because we had two new accounting standards come in last year, one with regard to financial instruments and one with regard to asset retirement obligations. And so those are just something to keep in mind because, you know, when it's a new topic, it's easy to forget. Eventually this will become old hat, but I just wanted to remind you that those were new that came in last year. And in fact, for the asset retirement obligations in 2023, we estimated, you know, how much work would have to be done related to asbestos. And further inspections in 2024 showed that some areas where we had thought there was asbestos, there actually wasn't. So we were able to reduce that asset retirement obligation by about $100,000 as a result of that. And every year we'll update that based on new information that we have. A couple other disclosures just to bring to your attention. You know, anytime you look at a financial statement, you want to see what there is in terms of a contingent note. And so note 8 covers that. Also commitments. Note 9 covers the contract with Aqua. And then note 15 discusses the reserve funding for the water and wastewater system. And then note 21, as I mentioned earlier, the restatement of the building stabilization fund. So thank you very much. A huge thank you to Brent and Diana and the Treasury staff. My staff love to come over here and work with them for a couple of weeks a year. And I'm very lucky to have Sarah Wyville and Alex Jackson. I'm really just the talking head. I spend the least amount of time of everyone. I just get to come and be put on the spot. So I couldn't do it without all of them. So thank you so much. I'd love to entertain questions.
Okay, thank you, Sue. And we love to have your auditors here with us. And they're going to be in a different boardroom next year because we had to move some office around. So different surroundings for them next year when they do their audit. But questions from council to Sue? I know there's Brent's report later on in the meeting as well. But any questions through to the auditor? Wow, you're getting off scot-free here. Okay, thank you very much. Enjoy your evening. All right, council, so there is a recommendation. Do I move for that recommendation, please? Councillor Cox. Seconder, please. Deputy Mayor Laux. That the presentations from Sue Bragg, Baker Tilly, SGB LLP regarding audit of 2024 consolidated financial report be received. Any further questions or any other questions on this? All those in favor? And that is carried. All right, so that takes us to item 9, which is deputation. And we have a deputation this evening from Shawneen McKay. And if you'd like to come up to the podium and just make sure that mic is on for you. Just if the green light's on, you're good. If it's not.
When all else fails, read the directions. Okay, first of all, good evening, Mayor Anderson, Deputy Mayor Laux. How am I spelling that? I'm saying that wrong.
No.
Laux?
Yep.
Did I say it right?
You did.
You did.
Hallelujah. Wow. Okay, and council members, not to be anyway, first of all, a big thank you to Adjala-Tosorontio council members for the opportunity to inform everyone about our concerns and what can be done about them. Interesting that the previous one was about money. Well, this is too. This presentation is about 2 serious issues facing the people who finance this municipality, the taxpayers. The first issue is that taxpayers are running out of money. I guess we can see that. The federal government owe over $1.2 trillion with interest payments of $1 billion every week. That's enough, according to the Canadian Taxpayers Association, to build 1 brand new hospital every week. Our Ontario provincial government owe more than $448 billion and we have a deterioration of healthcare and many other services. According to the Canadian Taxpayer Association's debt clock, each of us owe federally over $30,000 per person, and every day the debt clock rises, increasing with interest costs. We have homelessness in the streets, people having trouble paying their rent, mortgages, and groceries, few job prospects, 2 million people using food banks. So what's left? It's our municipal government, the government that's closest to the people. And I might remind everyone, this is all the same taxpayer, and we can no longer afford our municipal taxes. This affects renters as well. So what happens? Do we lose our property? Are we kicked out of our houses, apartments, or rental property? Spending at the municipal level seems to have been put out of the control of the people that pay the bills. Part of the problem is that the unelected United Nations have infiltrated our municipalities across Canada under the guise of climate change and are spending our money under the name of FCM, which stands for Federation of Canadian Municipalities, -ICLEI, which is International Council for Local Environment Issues. PCP is Partners for Climate Protection. We, the taxpayers, are here this evening because we need your help. In 2018, Jerry Marshall, then Warden of Simcoe County, and John Daly, Director, Legislative Services, Clerk, Corporate Staff Person, and Tyler Hunt, Sustainable Operations Supervisor, they signed a resolution on behalf of the 16 municipalities, plus Barrie and Aurelia, to join the United Nations. Please see that I gave in a copy of the resolution that needs to be rescinded. We need your support to make a motion at the next Simcoe County meeting that Simcoe County withdraws this resolution from the voluntary ICLEI framework and its Partners for Climate Protection program due to concerns about high costs, increased debt load, extensive data collection, ethical concerns, impacts on the housing market, agriculture and construction industry, and to prioritize energy security over greenhouse gas reduction targets. This recommendation emphasizes creating a locally driven environmental stewardship strategy that aligns with the community's values, priorities, and financial capabilities. Many of us are just becoming aware that the unelected United Nations have infiltrated our municipalities across Canada under the guise of climate change. And it is not the United Nations that's paying for all the climate change programs and issues. It's we, the taxpayers. The FCM ICLEI have made it clear that they have no liability in municipalities signing on to it, and therefore there is no cost or recourse in rescinding. So what we're here this evening is to ask you two requests. We're asking that this council to support Mayor Anderson and Deputy Mayor Lux to represent Adjala-Tosorontio to rescind this resolution that was made in 2018 to Simcoe County. The second one, we're asking council to support Adjala-Tosorontio to rescind the 2016 motion that was made at the Nottawasaga Valley Conservation Authority to sign on to FCM ICLEI. Currently, as you already know, Mayor Anderson is a member of the board of the NVCA representing Adjala-Tosorontio. So if someone else makes these motions at a meeting there, we would request that Adjala-Tosorontio supports that motion. Thank you. Now, I was just going to say too a little bit about who the HMI, and so it's just a little bit about me. I became very much involved in the community about environment. I slugged my guts out for 10 years and, well, actually for the rest of my life once I got into it. But the bottom line is I had met John Northwood, who was a forester in our area. And he mentioned to me that more than half the Earth's trees had been felled just since the 1950s, and that this is where this whole thing started. And that had been felled just since 1950s. And the 90s brought some of the hottest temperatures on record. So we applied as a group, which was a New Tecumseth Arbor Committee. We applied for a grant called Green Streets Canada, and we won it. And I think it was around $60,000 to buy and plant trees. So trees cool the earth, bring up the water table, and protect it. We planted over 10,000 large-sized trees along roadsides, and we did it in 6 years. I had a schedule because thanks to so many children from age 2 years old to people in their 80s, schools, Honda, service clubs, the municipalities, we only spent money on the actual trees. Everyone volunteered. Now, I was honored to receive the Governor General's commemorative medal in that. I was recognized as a volunteer, and I brought my stuff, which is this is from the Nottawasaga Valley Conservation Authority in recognition of the Arbor Committee, our ongoing commitment to greening the Nottawasaga Valley. So that was to the Arbor Committee. And then the other one is from, and it is from the Conservation of Merit, Lake Simcoe region. They recognize the New Tecumseth Arbor Committee for promoting the conservation of renewable natural resources by assisting in the reforestation of portions of the town of New Tecumseth. So basically, it's, and I only bring that up because of the fact that my concern from what I've seen is the confusion of the environment versus climate change. And it kind of all ties in with there. But anyway, that's the bottom line is that's what we would love is to get your support to stop the spending at the Simcoe County level and the Conservation Authority.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions through the deputy? So I have just a couple questions. Well, I guess I'll make a comment and just have a question as well. So I understand you're here to ask council for their blessing for myself and for Deputy Mayor to approach County Council. They certainly don't need to make a recommendation to do that. We can certainly take that upon ourselves to do.
Wonderful.
So we will have conversations, and I'll speak to staff as well on this item. This question I did have, and I'm just wondering if you knew this information offhand as to how much money Canada is actually giving to the United Nations for this program.
It's the weirdest thing because a lot of people don't even know what's happening. It's been so strange, but a lot of it's through the Green Municipal Fund, through the federal government. So the money's coming off of there. So the question is like, how long can they keep doing that when we have no money? It's scary. And as it was mentioned by the previous woman here, like she blew me away with her stuff that's happening, and that people are not even able to right now to pay for their taxes, their municipal taxes. You know, we're in trouble, really big trouble. And if we can stop the spending of really ridiculous stuff that's being spent on climate change, which doesn't help the climate at all, which is why I was mentioning about my tree planting. But it's hard to even find out exactly what is being spent. So if they're cut off, and they've said there's no liability in rescinding the motion that was signed on to, there is no liability. Because they don't want liability with what's going on. So they've said, no, if you ever want to get out of it, there's not a problem at all. You just have to vote on it and it's all good. And in light of our financial situation right now, it just would really appreciate it if you, we are going to all the municipalities to check to see if they are on board to do that.
Okay, thank you. Council, are there any other questions?
No.
Yeah, Councillor Cox and then Councillor O'Leary.
Yeah, through the chair, I'd just like to commend you for all your work and bringing this to everyone's attention.
Thank you. I wish it didn't drive me insane.
Yeah, you know, I see the passion there, and when someone has a lot of passion for obviously the greater good, I commend you for that and your team. So thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor O'Leary.
Through the chair, my question is more, what is anticipated for the future? Like, are you going to propose that you internally create your own climate control entity within the province of Ontario? If we sign off of like these items here that you've presented us with,
yeah,
what's going to happen down the road? Like, have you structured anything or considered anything like as a group in order to accommodate the climate change?
Well, it's interesting, but again, climate change is not the environment. They've confused it, and I've been one that's been confused, and I did all this work. But I can see what they've done, and most people don't realize, because there is a book out right now that's called The CO2 Hoax. And it's done, and what they're saying is that it's the billionaire club that are making tons of money off this. It's unbelievable what they're doing. They've got the windmills, the solar panels. They can't be recycled. They're made in China with fossil fuels. Like, it's just, all of you probably do a lot more for the environment than they do. And the problem is the money's being spent on measuring like stuff and getting windmills in, and it's not helping the environment at all.
Okay.
Thank you for the question.
Thank you. Councillor Simpson.
Thank you for your presentation.
Oh, you're welcome.
Councillor Simpson.
Thank you, through the chair. Thank you for your presentation, Ms. McKay, but I'm going to admit I'm a little confused by it.
Okay.
Because it doesn't really give me any information. You've identified several layers of government, federal, provincial, over which we have no
Right, and that,
we
exactly,
have no ability to influence as a municipality.
right.
Right? We have the ability to talk to the county because we have 2 county councillors here. That said, with regard to the ICLEI framework, it's focused on local action that is voluntary, right? That is the framework of what ICLEI is. It's local action at a local level to protect the environment and to prevent excess greenhouse gases from going out. That said, what drives my confusion is you've identified high costs and debt, but you haven't quantified what that means. You've identified privacy issues. You've said generally that there's data collection. What data collection are they doing? You have not identified that. And I respect
There's answers to that, just so you know. There are
Yes,
answers.
I
I've got,
know there
I
would
may
be.
not have them right now, but I will get them for you.
Would you
You'd be shocked. Unfortunately, I've never recovered.
Yes, I
Scary.
would like to see that. The other thing is housing market impact, high cost mandates. Perhaps these are things that are there, and I suspect there is something there,
Yeah,
right? And so certainly there are ways to address some of those concerns. And as council, we would like to see that. And I'm sure everybody on council wants to see that.
yep.
I'm hoping that if you can provide a more comprehensive report, perhaps,
Of where the
And-
money's going?
of where the money's going, what these impacts
What effect is it
are.
on the environment? Yeah.
Yeah, and specifically, you've identified agricultural impacts that are affecting farmers' livelihoods, but we don't know what those are, and perhaps you can quantify some of that.
I can give you one right now.
Sure.
Okay, I've been shocked with seeing all the massive planting of corn. And that's for ethanol, and that's not, and that's, all the fields are taken up with corn for ethanol, and that's going to be a problem for food.
Yeah.
You know, that's just one thing that I noticed quite a bit, that's a very scary thought. And that doesn't really do too much for the environment. I think it costs more to produce ethanol than actually,
And I think that's a great point.
Yeah.
I think I'd like to see more.
Yep, no, I
more
will
of
get
a
that for you.
comprehensive report that kind of provides more information for council. So if we are going to, put forward a position that is in support of what you're asking for, then,
Yeah.
Certainly we'd like to see the data that merits such a position.
Yeah, and that's absolutely, because it's, now Thorold rescinded their motion. Thorold in Ontario, they rescinded their motion. But my understanding, a lot of it is like measuring things in septic tanks, stuff coming out of there, just measuring things, and it's not really doing anything. Canada is on, people live on 20% of the land here. The rest is agriculture or forest. So the CO2 is not a problem here at all. But I will get you, as I said, that's not my expertise. I know how to plant trees.
Thank you. I do appreciate the work that you've done.
I cannot believe what's happening, and that's what drives me. I'm very disturbed.
Yeah.
And it's not me. It's not about me. It's about, I look at some of these kids, and I saw this young girl. She was at a job that was at one of the stores. And I looked at her and I said, there's no climate change. And it was like, the look on her face I'll never forget, because I think she was so shocked. And I think they've scared the kids. They don't even know. And it's nothing to be afraid of. It's just really shocking that. So I'm concerned that they're not getting the right information either. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, well, thank you very much for the presentation and
Thank
the
you very
information.
much.
And as Councillor Simpson indicated, if you have some information to share with him, you can take that offline. So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. And as I said, we just hope that you will consider that support. Thank you very much.
Thank
Thanks
you.
all of you.
Have a good evening. All right, so there is a recommendation here that the deputation from Shawnee McKay regarding Simcoe County's participation in the FCM ICLEI Framework and Partners for Climate Protection PCP program be received. Do you have a motion for that? Or a mover rather, sorry, Councillor Meadows, seconded by Councillor O'Leary. All those in favor? And that is carried. All right, so we're on to item 10, which is public meetings. There are no public meetings this evening. Item 11 is public comment. Members of the public may request their comments to be read by the clerk or present their comments orally. Only public comments related to an item on the agenda listed under staff reports, correspondence, or bylaws will be considered. And members of the public wishing to submit comments can do so in writing to our clerk no later than 12 noon on the day of the meeting. Is there anyone in attendance who would like to provide their comments? And if so, please raise your hand and once called upon, proceed to the podium. Are there any persons in the audience wishing to speak to any items on the agenda from here on out? Seeing none, Madam Deputy Clerk, did we receive any comments in writing?
Your Worship, we received no comments in writing.
Thank you. Okay, so that takes us to item 12, which is upcoming events and announcements. I do have a couple here just to acknowledge, and then I'll open the floor to council. So first of all, I want to draw attention to an important date. Staff are putting together a public information center with regards to the 2026 budget. And that public information center will be held on September 24th at 6 p.m. here in the public room, which is right next door. Again, 6 to 8 p.m. on the 24th of September. And we welcome all residents to come in and share your ideas with staff to help shape the 2026 capital and operating budget. You can come in and ask questions and understand the budget process and understand where your tax dollars are going and recommend some projects if you so wish. The second item I have is with regards to the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation. And each year on September 30th, we pause to reflect and honor residential school survivors, their families, and Indigenous communities. The township is pleased to host a community walk here on September 30th at Warden's Park. So we're going to be using the gazebo out front and then walk around the track. The opening ceremonies will start at 10 a.m. The walk around the track will be at 10:30 and light refreshments will be provided after. We encourage all residents to come and participate if they can. This, again, event is open to everyone in the community, and together we walk in the spirit of truth, reconciliation, and remembrance, and participants are encouraged to wear orange shirts. It does coincide, of course, with Orange Shirt Day. The next item I have is just with regards to the Beaton Fall Fair, which is happening this weekend in Beaton. They're neighbors, of course, to us. I believe Deputy Mayor Locks will be attending the opening ceremonies on my behalf this year. And we encourage everyone in the agriculture of the community to support the fair. And I understand some of our staff are actually putting in some entries into the fair. So all the best to staff on those staff members on their entries. And the last item I have is with regards to the hospital redevelopment at Stevenson Memorial Hospital. I attended a cabinet meeting last evening. The hospital redevelopment is on track. They have completed site works, are working on the new helipad and parking areas. And this is all going to be completed this fall, potentially for use next year, mid-year, after approvals are obtained. And then the hospital redevelopment will start shortly after that. I will remind everyone here at council and in the audience that there is an ambitious goal of $80 million to the hospital redevelopment. So if you are in a position to contribute any amount, the hospital foundation would certainly be interested in that. All of it, of course, going to the reconstruction of the hospital and the fundraising efforts. So again, they just launched a new campaign, Because of You We Can campaign. Very ambitious goal of the $80 million to sustain and build a state-of-the-art hospital here in our community. And with that, I'll go to council for any other public events and upcoming announcements. Councillor Meadows, sorry.
Yeah, I just have a question for the mayor with regards to the September meeting. Is council allowed to attend that event, or should we?
Yeah, so it is certainly a public event and council is able to attend. The intention behind the event is for staff to lead the public engagement, however. So that is the intention, that there will be all senior staff on hand to answer questions to residents. So if council members were to come, not saying you can't, but just be mindful that we want to engage the public as much as possible with the staff members so that they are able to provide some information back to council.
Yeah, I would have liked to have had a memo sent out to us with regards to that, rather than read it on from, or being notified by one of my residents with regards to that. That's also. Anyways, thank you.
Okay. I appreciate that. It was part of the directive as well through the budget process that that date be chosen for the open house. So, Councillor Cox.
Yeah, through the chair, I'd just like to put a public service announcement out there that obviously it's back to school and people just be mindful around school areas and children getting on and off the buses. I know majority of the constituents aren't listening, but hey, trying to do my part.
Thank you. Any other members of council? Okay, I'll go to the CIO for an update.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just to add to what you've said with respect to the open house, we will also make email or write-in or even social media available for anybody who could not attend but still want to put in their points with regard to the upcoming draft 2026 budget. Also wanted to note that last Saturday there was a very successful kite festival, and wanted to thank the organizers, especially for the cleanup, which usually happens with staff, but it was left in a very pristine, the area around the municipal center was left in a very pristine use, so it was very, very good, because we did have grass cutting the next day. No tripwires, no nothing. We didn't damage any equipment while we were cutting grass, so it was done very, very well. Also wanted to note that on the Environmental Registry of Ontario, there is a note about addressing growth and housing needs in South Simcoe County. We will be putting a letter forward to the province supporting growth, but again, in the right way under best planning management practices. Just to note that, because it is available for any of the public or anyone who wants to comment on the ERO, the Environmental Registry of Ontario, so it is out there. Last but not least, just like to turn it over to the Director of Engineering and Public Works with just some updates with regard to what's going on for road construction.
Mr. Wilmots.
Thank you. If you're down in the Colgan area, you already know that concession 8 has been paved from the edge of the subdivision south to 5 Side Road. I think it's a well-welcomed area by the sounds of it. The traffic has increased now that it's another smooth road to get out of the area. We will be proceeding with paving on the town line, the Mono-Adjala town line, as well as Concession Road 3 north of County Road 12 within the next 2 or 3 weeks. It's just scheduling now with the contractor. He's in and out and trying to get more jobs done in the area and stuff.
Mr. Wilmots, could you just speak to 20 Side Road would be on there as well, and for microservicing? Or sorry, for tire and chip?
Yeah, the 20 Side Road, it's scheduled to the week of the 21st, 22nd. We're trying to push it off so that when the farmer digs his potatoes, he doesn't ruin the new road. So we've kind of pushed it.
Okay, thank you. You had a question to Mr. Wilmots on that?
And just 17?
Yeah.
Is that?
That'll be done when they're doing the third, when they're up in that end.
Third?
Yes.
Okay.
So it'll from Cindy Lane to 100 meters west of the intersection at the third line there.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for the updates. All right, Council. So that leads us on to item 13, which is the consent agenda. Are there any items that Council would wish to pull from the consent list? All right, seeing none. So the recommendation is that Councilor Metals.
Sorry, can you pull that just for
Are you looking for any direction?
Possibly.
Okay, so let's,
It may not, they may have already done it.
okay, I'll move it to correspondence and we can address it just in case there is direction needed. All right. So the recommendation is that consent agenda recommendations 13.1 through 13.1 and 13.2, 13.4 and 13.5 be adopted as presented, and that staff be authorized to take all necessary actions. Any questions on that recommendation? A mover, please. Deputy Mayor Locke, seconded by Councillor Cox, and all those in favor. And that is carried. All right, so that takes us on to item 14, which is staff reports. So 14.1 is staff report finance 2025. 9, which is the 2024 draft audited financial statements. And we did have a presentation from our auditor previously, and she is here to answer any questions with Mr. Anderchuk. So Mr. Anderchuk, I'll give the floor to you for a quick introduction, please.
Thank you, Mayor Anderson. Yeah, this is just looking now for approval of the financial statements. Our auditor, Sue Bragg, is here to answer any more detailed questions that you might have in regards to the financial statements. But I think the presentation pretty well covered everything. But happy to answer any additional questions you may have.
Okay, thank you. Council, are there any further questions? All right, I do have one, and I just wanted to draw the conclusion here, which is, I've seen it. Let me just find the page if I don't want to give you wrong information here. So with regards to our long-term liabilities, our debt, so I just wanted to confirm some information here. So we have 2 infrastructure loans currently with the township or with Infrastructure Ontario. One's due at 2029, which thankfully will be the end of one. So I just wanted to make sure that that information, we have the principal amounts and the interest amounts, those are combined of both long-term liabilities. So just aside to this note, Treasurer Anderchuk, could we get a breakdown potentially later on this year as to just the difference between both loans, please? Just so it's a breakout of
Yeah,
the
I'd be
principal and
happy to
interest on each
provide
one.
a breakdown.
Okay. Because I know council has indicated this in the past, that, you know, all our information, and again, all the information is in the audit report, of course, for 2024. So it has our long-term liabilities, it has our annual surpluses, it has our reserve funds, et cetera. So it is all there. So, so with that, unless there's any other questions, I did want to, at this time, express my thanks again to the Treasury Department for their hard work on this, to provide all the information to the auditors, and to the, of course, the auditors for performing this valuable service to the municipality. So there is a recommendation, council. If there's a mover for that, I have Councillor Cox. And a seconder, please. Councillor Simpson. That staff report finance 2025-009 dated September 10th, 2025 regarding the 2024 draft financial statements be received, and that council approve the 2024 draft audited financial statements prepared by Baker Tilly SGB LLP. Any further questions? And all those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you. 14.2 is a staff report IND 2025-020, which is an update to the capital project I 2025-06, and that's the Colgan Trail development. Mr. Wilmets.
Thank you, through the mayor. We were originally looking at replacing the whole sidewalk from the church up to County Road 14, where it goes east and west. But after close inspection of it, it is at 30. It's 32 inches wide as it is now the whole way. I didn't realize it myself. And we were talking about making it to go to 36, which is only 4 inches wider. The condition of the sidewalk is in very good shape, most of it. It looks like it's a lot narrower because of the grass encroachment on it. And there is areas where the sidewalk has been buried with driveways and stuff, so that needs to be addressed. So my recommendation is to just maintain what's there and fix the bad areas. And then by doing that, then that'll allow us to extend the 32-inch sidewalk or trail from where it drops off partway across County Road 14 on over to the 8th line to tie that all in.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions to Mr. Womitz on this item? Councillor Cox?
Yeah, through the chair, when it crosses over, is there like a crosswalk there? Or
Pardon?
Is there a crossover or a crosswalk? Does the trail cross?
At the 8th, yes, I think it is because it comes down. That's where the new sidewalk goes down the 8th line in that intersection.
Okay, Councillor Simpson?
Through the chair. Sorry, Mr. Woolmans, you're also talking about County Road 14 as well, right?
The east-west part.
The east-west.
Yeah, so right now it goes approximately halfway from the town line over towards the 8th and then just ends. There's no sidewalk. So by just repairing what's there, upgrading what's there to existing, cleaning at the edges, cleaning the grass off it, edging it so it's the full 32 inches wide. And walking it, it's surprisingly, there's only maybe 1 or 2 trip hazards on the whole area. It's in really good shape. But the biggest problem about increasing it is there's no width. Between, I don't know if there's pictures on that report, between, oh, they didn't get attached. But there's areas there where it's like literally 32, 33 inches between the fence and a bell standard or the fence and a hydro pole. And then you get a little bit farther down, you have the lip of the county road. And it's just, there's just physically no room in there.
So on County Road 14, would you be building in the area that doesn't have the sidewalk?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, continuing from where it just drops off over to the 8th line.
Okay.
And it would be a 32-inch to match everything else, so it would be all the same. And then there's areas where there's like a 6 or 8 inches of gravel over top of the sidewalk with that they've done. We'd work with the landowner to lower the driveway if at all. If not, we would realign the sidewalk so it would come up over and it'd be a proper sidewalk.
Any further questions on that item? Okay, so I do have one suggestion. We are seeing some savings, I would think, in this because we're not doing the full scope of the work. So if council is amenable, I do have a suggestion to include some additional improvements in the Colgan area, which would be streetlights. I think it's imperative that we make sure that we have our roadway on the 8th lit to proper standards. So I do have a prepared motion if I can read it and have someone move it if they so wish, but is any concerns on that? Okay, so the recommendation would be that staff report IND 2025-020 dated September 10th, 2025 regarding update capital project I-2025-06 Colgan Trail development be received, in that the scope of work for capital project I-2025-06 be amended to include the installation of 8 streetlights along Concession Road 8, Colgan, and that council authorizes the CAO to approve the award of tenders and contracts for capital project I-2025-06, and that staff be authorized to utilize the procurement methods of direct award and limited competition for capital project I-2025-06 to ensure completion of the capital project by the end of 2025. Would anyone like to move that? Councillor Meadows, seconder. Councillor Simpson. Okay. Any questions on that item? Okay, all those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you, Mr. Womitz. All right, so 14.3 is the next staff report. It's planning report 2025-17. It's with regards to 4492 and 4428 Adjala-Tecumseh Town Line. It's a decision report with the zoning bylaw amendment. Ms. Anderson or Mr. Merrick? Just a quick update, Greg.
Through your worship. So yes, this application is for a zoning bylaw amendment. A public meeting was previously held. It is to rezone the property to recognize recognize the existing use on the rural piece of property and to expand the existing parcel for future expansion of the Christian school use. It is to take the lands from rural to institutional, and then other lands from rural to open space, and then from rural to rural exception, and then from institutional to open space.
Okay, thank you. Council, were there any further questions with regards to this planning application? Okay. Do you have a mover for the recommendation? Wow, everybody's hands went up. I have Councillor Borzo, second by Councillor O'Leary. Gone are the days when we used to have motion papers. You came in the office and signed it before the day, and I just read it in. That the planning report 2025-017 dated September 10, 2025 regarding 4492 and 4428 Adjala-Tecumseh Town Line decision report zoning bylaw amendment be received, in that council approve the zoning bylaw amendment application and consider the necessary bylaw to rezone the subject lands legally described as concession 8, part lot 29 and part lot 30, geographic township of Adjala, Township of Adjala-Tosorontio, and concession 8, part lot 29, geographic township of Adjala, Township of Adjala-Tosorontio as follows. From rural R to institutional exception 1 L1, from, sorry, that's I1. From rural R to open space conservation OSC, from rural R to rural exception R126, and from institutional I to open space conservation OSC. Any further questions, comments? All those in favor? That is carried. All right, so we're on to 15, which is correspondence. One item was correspondence is moved over here, and that's 13.3 of the agenda. So Councillor Meadows, you had wanted a clarification with regards to, I believe that's the Malmer OP. Your mic, but your mic.
I was just wondering if our staff have looked over any of the large-scale projects that is in their official plan, the new developments they want to put in.
So through to,
or have you been contacted by Malmer with regards to what's going on over there?
So through to, I'm going to go with the CEO first and just see if he's had any comment, and then if the CEO wishes, we can go to Mr. Merrick.
Thank you, Worship. Staff did go through. I will be sending it over to our manager of planning. However, we took a look at it for many different aspects, whether they be environmental with regard to source water protection, with regard to how that their growth may impact us, et cetera, with regard to traffic indications and all of those things. So they have been looked at, and we have put some comments through to Malmer, but I will let the manager of planning expand on any of my comments. Thank you.
Merrick.
Through your worship. So yes, we did review the draft official plan and provided comments in advance of the public meeting that was to be held, I believe, on September 3rd. In the official plan, it was mostly an update to bring the plan into conformity and consistency with provincial plans as well as the provincial planning statement. So it was very much a scoped update to address those two situations for conformity consistency. We did provide one comment. We did notice that the wellhead protection area for the Lyle municipal well extended into Malmer, and it wasn't identified in their mapping. So we asked that that be updated, and we got confirmation back from the CAO/planner that that would be accommodated. So that was acknowledged, but other than that, we were not contacted directly by anybody at the Township of Malmer with questions with respect to any kind of developments within their municipality. So we just really were focusing our comments on the review of the draft official plan update.
Thank you very much for your update, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. And Councillor Meadows, I can also say that I did attend the Malmer Council meeting on September 3rd and listened to their presentation, and to Mr. Eric's point, they did include that rationale for the wellhead protection area in Lyle, so that was already within their presentation that they had presented to the public at Malmer. So I must say, if we're looking at their plan, they did do very scoped work on it, but very unique way of addressing some of their needs. So it's neat to see some of the new, fresh ideas that some municipalities are taking in with their OPs. So it's unique. All right, any other questions with regards to 13.3? All right, and the motion would be that that item be received. Do I have a mover for that? I have Councillor Metals, seconded by Deputy Mayor Locks. And all those in favor? And that is carried. Okay, so we're on to 16, which is bylaws. Bylaw 2025-048, which is zoning bylaw for 4492 and 4428 Adjala-Tecumseh Town Line. The recommendation is that bylaw 2025-048 being a bylaw to amend zoning bylaw 0357 as amended of the Township of Adjala-Tosorontio, concession 8, part lot 29, geographic Township of Adjala, Township of Adjala-Tosorontio, 4428 Adjala-Tecumseh Town Line, in concession 8, part lot 29 and part lot 30, geographic Township of Adjala, Township of Adjala-Tosorontio, 4492 Adjala-Tecumseh Town Line be enacted. And do I have a mover for that recommendation? I have Councillor Borzos, seconded by Councillor O'Leary. All those in favor? And that's carried. 16.2 is a bylaw 2025-049, the appoint interim municipal bylaw enforcement officers, and the recommendation is that bylaw 2025-049 being a bylaw to appoint interim municipal bylaw enforcement officers for the corporation of the Township of Adjala-Tosorontio and to repeal bylaw 2025-019 be enacted. And I have that moved by Councillor Cox. And a seconder, please, Councillor Metals. Any questions with regards to this item? All those in favor? That is carried. 17 is notices of motions. Are there any notices this evening that I'm not aware of? All right, thank you. Item 18 is new business, which we have none. And we're on 19, which is a confirmation bylaw. That bylaw 2025-050 being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the Council of the Township of Adjala-Tosorontio at its regular council meeting held on September 10th, 2025 be enacted. A mover, please. Let's see all the hands. Let's go. Councillor Metals, seconded by Councillor Cox. All those in favor? And that is carried. And we are adjourned at 7:57 p.m.